Alright, so today we're going to be talking about the quadratic equation formula. So you should all have this paper in front of you. If you don't have this paper in front of you, you'll need to grab one the next day in class. You should be taking notes if you don't have this on a separate sheet of paper. Everybody else should be taking notes on this sheet of paper. Alright, so if you look on the first page, you should see a quadratic formula assignment. I'll explain more about this in class, but this right here is what you're going to do is you're going to repeat this to 3 people. One of the people has to be a teacher or administrator. One has to be a parent or guardian. And the last one can be of your choosing, so a friend or another teacher, anybody that you want. So it has to be 3 people. One has to be a teacher or a administrator. The next has to be a parent or a guardian or a brother or sister. And then the last person is a friend or somebody of your choosing. Okay. All you're going to do is you're going to recite this. I'll teach it more in class, but this right here is called the quadratic formula. It's x equals negative b plus or minus the square root of b squared minus 4ac all over 2a. Alright, there's an easy way that I teach this, and it's by a song like Pop Goes the Weasel. So all you do is x is equal to negative b plus or minus the square root of b squared minus 4ac all over 2a. If you repeat that so many times, you'll remember it by heart. Okay, so repeat it. When you feel comfortable, ask one teacher, ask a parent or guardian, and a friend. They will have to print their name, sign it, and date it. This will be due in class the next time you have me. Okay, so that's that assignment. Now let's talk about what this whole thing is. Okay, so this whole thing is going to be able to find our roots. Find roots. So we're going to use this equation to find our roots. Okay, let's say you don't want to factor, and factoring, remember, is the X method or the reverse box method. Let's say you don't want to do that. Well, you could use this formula to find the roots. Okay, and like I said, x is equal to negative b plus or minus the square root of b squared minus 4ac all over 2a. If you remember that, you can remember the formula and easily get this problem. Okay. So all you have to do is you're going to be given a problem like this: ax squared plus bx plus c. Remember that a is always the first term, b is always the second, and c is always the third. Now notice that the end, it equals 0. So that's what it needs to be. It needs to equal 0 the entire time. Alright? So all you're going to do is rearrange your equation into ax squared plus bx equals 0, plus c equals 0, if it isn't already equal to 0, before substituting any given values for a, b, and c. Okay? So a, which is this box right here, goes into just 2 boxes, and that box is labeled a right here and at the bottom right there. The middle number, whatever this middle number is, I should highlight these actually. Let's highlight them. Okay, so the A, oops, sorry about that. The A would go in this box and this box. So whatever number A is would go in that box and that box. So then whatever number B is has a few more boxes to go into. It goes into the first box, goes into the second box, and just those. The last one is C, and C only goes into a few boxes. It only goes into this last box on the top row. Okay, so whatever those numbers are, you're going to place them in those boxes, do the math, and you're done. Okay, now these problems may seem long, but it's super easy to get the answers from them. Okay, so that's a little bit about as far as what this is. Okay, it's a formula. You just put in the numbers, plug them in, use your calculator because you will get a calculator for this section. Do the math and we'll go from there. Now you'll notice that there's this plus or minus here. We're going to go over that in a second when we do a problem. Okay, so all you need to know from this page is where to plug in everything. A goes into the A boxes, B goes into the B boxes, and C goes into the C box. Last thing, just remember A is your first term, B is your second, and C is your third. Okay? Alright, let's talk about this. Solve 3x squared minus 4x equals negative 4. First thing you need to know, does this equal 0? Well, no, it doesn't equal 0. So I can't start this problem until it equals 0. Okay? So how would I get this negative 4 and get it away so I can make it equal to 0? So if I write 3x squared minus 4x equals negative 4, remember I'm trying to get it equal to 0. How do I get rid of that negative 4? Well, it's a negative, and the inverse of a negative is a positive. So if I wanted to, I could add 4 and add 4. Now, 4 minus 4 is 0, or negative 4 plus 4 is 0. Okay, so now it's equal to 0. Notice this 4 does not have an x or an x squared, so they are not like terms. So therefore, 3x squared minus 4x plus 4. Okay, all that I did was I did the inverse. I added the 4. Since they aren't like terms, I just write it to the side. Alright, now let's put these into the boxes. So I have a 3 here, I have a negative 4 here, and I have a 4 in the C box. Okay, so I've already labeled everything for you. So all you have to do now is plug in the B to the B, the A to the A, and the C to the C. So the A is 3. So let's start with A. So the first box is a B, the second box is a B, the third box is a A. So put a 3 right there. Do I see another A? Well, I see it at the bottom. Let's keep going. B is next. And B is what number? Well, B is negative 4. So you're going to put a negative 4 here. You're going to put a negative 4 here. And then that's it. Last but not least is C. And C is a 4. Okay? So again, all that I did was I put 3x squared plus negative 4 plus the 4. Remember, the first term is 3, so that's your A. The second term is negative 4, so that's your B. And the last term is 4, so that's your C. Remember, first, second, third, A, B, C. Alright, now we're going to do math. Alright, so now our new problem is x is equal to negative 4 plus or minus the square root of negative 4 squared minus 4 times 3 times 4 over 2 times 3. All that I did was I rewrote this right there. I just copied the same thing down there. Okay? If you're confused at all, rewind it. Where did I get these numbers from? Alright? Now, let's go on. Now, this problem will take a while, so be patient. Let's go ahead and let's do negative times a negative is a what? Well, it's a positive. So now that's a positive 4. Negative times a negative is a positive. Let's keep going. Plus or minus the square root. Well, negative 4 squared. Negative 4 squared is what? Well, negative times a negative is a positive, and 4 times 4 is 16, so it's positive 16. Okay, let's keep going. Negative 4, and remember, you can use your calculator on this. Negative 4 times 3 is 12. Negative 12. And then negative 12 times 4 is 48. So I'll write that all out. Negative 4 times 3 is 12. And 12 times 4, well it's negative 12. Negative 12 times 4 is negative 48. All right. Let's move on. 2 times 3 is 6. All right. So let's just reiterate what we did. We had a negative 4 at the top. I did negative times a negative is a positive. Negative 4 times negative 4 is positive 16. Then I did 4 times 3. 4 times 3 is 12. And then negative 12 times 4 is negative 48. Okay? All right, let's continue. So 4 plus or minus the square root. So what's 16 minus 48? Well, that's negative 32. So I'm going to rewrite this plus or minus the radical of negative 32 over 6. All right. This is an interesting problem because what we learned earlier is that we cannot have a negative in my radical because there is no number that I can make. A negative times negative is a positive, so I cannot have a negative radical. Since I cannot have a negative radical, I say this has no roots. And I'm done. Because this number is a negative, I have no roots. Now, if this number was positive, I could keep going. But since this number is a negative, I cannot continue this problem, and I would just write no roots. Okay? All right. Remember, if you get lost, stop the video, pause it, rewind it, and go from there. Now let's go ahead and let's try this next one. I have 5x squared minus 2x minus 1 equals 0. My problem already equals 0. That means I do not need to do anything right now. So I don't have to do the first step we did earlier. Now, let's just label this A, B, and C. So my A is 5, so A goes here and goes here. My B is negative 2, so it goes here and here. And my C is negative 1. All right. First term 5, second term negative 2, third term negative 1. All right, let's continue. Negative times a negative, remember because a negative times a negative, it would make that a positive 2. Plus or minus, I'm drawing this radical, negative 2 times negative 2, because that's a square. So negative 2 times negative 2 is a positive 4. Now let's continue. Negative 4 times 5. Well, negative 4 times 5 is negative 20. And you can see I wrote that down small. So negative 4 times 5 is negative 20. Then I still have to multiply that number by negative 1. So negative 20 times negative 1. Well, a negative times a negative is a positive, and a 20 times a 1 is a 20. All right, now let's continue the problem. I put the division sign just like it's right here. So all I did is I'm copying. 2 times 5 is 10. Okay, let's continue this problem. So I'm going to write, I can't do anything with this 2 yet. Can't do anything with this plus or minus. Let's see, 4 plus 20 is 24. And that's over 10. Now, what is the radical of 24? So the radical of 24 is 4.89. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to rewrite this 2 plus or minus 4.89. 4.89. And I'm going to put that over 10. All right. So now this one worked. Because it's positive, I can continue this problem. All that I did was I put the radical symbol in my calculator and I pressed 24 and it gave me 4.89. Okay, this is where the problem goes into two sections. I like to label this the plus section and the minus section. So that's what this symbol means right here. The plus or minus means you're going to do two separate equations. One of them you're going to add. The second one you're going to subtract. Okay, so you should have two answers at the end. So let me explain what that means. So I'm going to take my 2 and I'm going to plus it on this side. So plus 4.89, and then I'm going to divide that by 10. On the right hand side, I'm going to do the opposite. Instead of plusing it, I'm going to minus it. So that's 2 minus 4.89. Divide that by 10. Okay, and now I just solved this using my calculator. So 2 plus 4.89, divide that by 10, and I get an answer of 0.689. And it's about, since I estimated. Okay, so again, all that I did was I put 2 plus the 4.89 and I divided it by 10. Now let's do the other one, but instead of adding it, I'm going to subtract it. So that's 2 minus 4.89, divide that by 10. Now, 2 minus 4.89, divide that by 10, and I get an answer of negative 0.289. And this right here is my answer. Alright, so 1, if I have a negative in my radical, I can't do anything and I have no roots. If I have a positive, put it in the calculator. You may get a decimal, and if you do, that's okay. Once I get my decimal, I put a plus and a minus, and I add my answer, and I subtract my answer. I should get two different answers at the end. Okay? Alright, we're going to do some practice problems in class, but this is what I needed from you guys today. Again, if you got lost at any point, please rewind, pause it, go back. I tried to explain it as best as I can, and then we can get to the in class. Alright? Thank you.